Okay, I was muted. Good afternoon. We have a few minutes till 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I will give those that want the update a few minutes to join before I start. I'll leave this up for replay as well. So if you need to go back and watch it later for whatever reason, I will leave it up. Don't worry. I do have some important updates though. Streaming on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. If you have any questions, drop it in the comment section, and I'll try my best to monitor the questions and answer whatever questions you all have about the government shutdown. Um, yeah, 3:59. So I'll wait one more minute before I start. How y'all doing on this? Excuse me. How y'all doing on this beautiful Monday afternoon? Let me know if you can hear me fine in the chat, please, before I start. Take a sip of. I probably should not be drinking this energy drink at this hour of the day, but it's needed. I don't see any comments. I hope that is not a system issue. Can somebody say, hey, girl, in the comments to let me know that I'm able to see you all's questions before I start? Oh, hey, girl. Hey, Kiki. Okay, I see it. Perfecto. Okay, so we have a few people on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. I will go ahead and get started. So, as you all are aware, we are on day 20 of the government shutdown. This shutdown may or may not be affecting you. If it's not affecting you or impacting your family right now, if it continues, it will impact everybody. A high level overview of why we are in the shutdown, mainly because the Democrats won't agree to the increase in the health care that is in this new bill. I wrote up a lot of information so I could stay on topic and so that I would not miss any important information to provide you all. And I also have some details if you are a Georgia taxpayer. And since Columbus is really close to Alabama, I pulled the information for Alabama as well. So starting out, I'll start with how the impact that the government shutdown have on the state of Georgia and the state of Alabama. So those of you that don't know what a government shutdown is, a government shutdown occurs when Congress fails to pass the appropriations bill. They even failed to pass the continuing resolution to fund the federal government operations. So that's why the government is shut down. What I am giving you info, the source, I always like to provide my sources. The source that I got this information from is the CEA. It's the CEA analysis, and CEA is the Council of Economic Advisors. So in this CEA analysis, it indicates that a shutdown may have a wide-ranging economic effects that reduce the prospects of Georgia constituents. And I'm going to also talk about Alabama as well. So overall, it is, we're seeing a higher unemployment, and also a disruption to Social Security and the nutritional support to women's with infant and children, which is the WIC. SNAP benefits is also being impacted as well. So for Georgia, it says the Georgia government shutdown would reduce the growth and increase unemployment, which is what we're already seeing. So the CEA estimates that the Georgia's gross state product will decline by approximately 458 million each week. Each week that the government shutdown extends, is going to be 458 million. And this is equivalent to 2 billion per month. So 2 billion per month while the government is shut down is the impact that it has on the Georgia's gross state product. As a result of the estimated GDP declines during the shutdown period, the CEA analysis finds that there may be an increase of unemployment of about 1,400 workers in the state of Georgia. And this is under a 1 month period for the shutdown. So it's 1,400 unemployment for Georgia, and for Alabama, I'll be going back and forth because I'm going to provide you all information for Georgia and Alabama. So for the unemployment for Alabama is 600 workers. In the government shutdown, most federal workers will be furloughed, or be required to work without pay. We do know that there are lots of government employees that are deemed essential, so they have to work, and they are working without pay. The amount of federal workers that are in the state of Georgia that are working right now without pay is 109,000 federal workers. The amount of federal workers that are working without pay in Alabama is 57,000 workers. Government shutdown will also stop some federal benefits. Under a government shutdown, the SNAP benefits continues for approximately 30 days before they face disruption. We are right now on day 20. So that funding for SNAP benefits within that first month period is about to run out. In Georgia, there are around 1,356,000 total enrollees in SNAP. In the state of Alabama, there are 736,000 total enrollees in SNAP. So put all those households together, and that's how many people will be impacted if the funding runs out for SNAP benefits in the state of Georgia and in the state of Alabama. Benefits will also have an impact on Social Security benefits only if they receive it by check versus direct deposit. So if you receive your Social Security check via direct deposit, then you won't see an impact. But if you do receive it in the mail, you will see an impact. In Georgia, there are about 13,200 seniors that receives their benefits by check. In Alabama, there are about 7,000 seniors that receive their benefits by check. So hopefully we could get this government open back up so all those seniors won't face any impact with their checks in the mail for Social Security. Due to the government shutdown, the federal funding for WIC program stops immediately and becomes reliant on very limited local contingency funding, as well as Alabama. If the government shutdown is prolonged, those reserves are likely to run out by the end of the first week. In Georgia, there are about 231,000 WIC recipients who rely on government for nutritional support. In the state of Alabama, there are approximately 112,000 WIC recipients who also rely on the program for nutritional support for themselves and their children. The government shutdown will also hurt small businesses. The SBA, the Small Business Administration, loans distributions are also frozen during a government shutdown, and that is for all businesses, not just Alabama and Georgia. All businesses, all small businesses. Assuming equal average distributions each month, small businesses would face delays around $130 million in Georgia under a month-long shutdown of the federal government, and about 30 million in Alabama under a month-long shutdown of the federal government. It also affects federal contractors. Federal contracts will also be affected by the government shutdown. The CEA assumes all non-cost contracts, and non-cost contracts is when they're flat rate, they're paid by a flat rate by the government. It will continue, but the funding will stop for all cost contracts. And cost contracts is when the government pays for the actual costs for small businesses. In this case, a 1-month shutdown would cut federal contract spending by around $312 million in Georgia and around $422 million in Alabama. I'm surprised to see that amount more in Alabama than it is in Florida. Than it is in Georgia. So, combining this with federal employees going unpaid, the consumer spending from lost wages will fall by an estimated $1 billion in the state of Georgia. Each month, the government shutdown extends, and the lost wages will fall by an estimated $715 million in the state of Alabama. Each month, the government shutdown extends. Let's see. Do I have any questions before I jump into how this shutdown is impacting the government, the IRS? Okay, I don't see any questions. Hey, Eugene, how are you? Anyone have any questions before I jump into how the shutdown is impacting the Internal Revenue Service? Okay, I don't see any questions. So, most people think that, or when they hear shutdown, they think that everything automatically stops. But that's not exactly how it works. So, the IRS operates under what's called a lapse in appropriations plan. That plan determines who keeps working, which is considered essential. They're deemed essential, and what activities can legally continue. So, even in the shutdown, some IRS functions cannot stop, mainly because they protect the life, property, and the government's ability to collect and safeguard the revenue. So, if you're not aware, most of the U.S. income, most of their dollars, comes from taxpayers. So, of course, even in a shutdown, the IRS will have workers, federal workers that are furloughed, but they also have people that are still working, but they're not getting paid. So here's a list. I'm going to read a list of what will still continue, and this is for the Internal Revenue Service. So accounting operations that prevent loss of taxpayer and government data will continue. Of course, criminal investigations and fraud enforcement cases that can't be postponed will continue. Any processing of mailed payments, certain installment agreements, and to make sure that the system doesn't fall behind for next year's filing season, that continues. The IRS, if you don't know, the IRS partners with FEMA and the Small Business Administration. So that will still continue because they help victims of major disasters get the tax documents that they need to recover. So they are deemed essential and they are still partner and working with FEMA. Altogether, a little over half of the IRS workforce, which is 53%, and that's nearly 400,000 employees, are still working through this shutdown. None of these people are getting paid, and it's sad. So, what's on hold? Let's talk about what's not operating during the shutdown. Let me pull that list up. Okay, this is where most taxpayers start to feel the impact. So during the shutdown, the IRS will halt most of its normal operations, and that include, of course, the list has government, the customer service phone lines, and the walk-in taxpayer assistance centers. But when I call, and I don't know if it is because I called the practitioner line, when I call the IRS customer service, even collections, I'm still able to speak with representatives and I'm still able to get assistance on all of my cases. So I'm not sure if it is just the 800-829-1040 number that has halted, but I can still get through. Other items that has halted is any audit and appeals work that isn't tied to an immediate statute of limitations. So if you had any appeal hearings or with the revenue officer or an appeal officer, if you have any meetings with those people, your meeting probably was rescheduled. I did have a few hearings that were rescheduled, so I can confirm that appeal officers are not working, neither are revenue officers. What else stopped? Refund processing and correspondence responses that aren't automated. So let me be clear about this. This does not mean that you did not have to meet your filing deadline. If you filed an extension for October 15th, you still had to meet that deadline. If you didn't have not submitted your e-file return, go ahead and do that now because you are still liable to meet those deadlines. The correspondence that doesn't require any human responses, like verifying documents, resolving cases, or addressing notices, will likely face a delay. So be cautious with that. But again, make sure that you file your taxes on time. If you have not submitted your 1040 tax return, you're late and you're going to be calling me to get a penalty waiver. The longer you wait, the higher the interest accrues. So I highly recommend you going ahead and get those files submitted. I also want to note that an extension is always only an extension to file, not an extension to pay. So if you had a balance due this filing season and you have not paid it yet, you are going to get penalties for filing late and not paying on time. So be aware of that. If you had any deadlines coming up and you didn't receive any communication from an appeals officer, revenue agent, anybody that you were working with at the Internal Revenue Service, if you had deadlines coming with them, but you have not heard from them, I would still submit all that requested information. And if I were you, I would just keep track of when it was sent, the time it was sent, and the method of how it was sent. If you faxed it, make a copy of your fax confirmation that it was sent. If you emailed something, keep up with those emails. And I will also even leave voicemails. And I would send a fax message. Do everything you can to prevent any negative actions on your clients' cases, just to so you'll have proof that you submitted all the necessary documents you needed to submit before or by that deadline. Okay, I think that was all the updates that I had. I keep up with everything that goes on with the Internal Revenue Service because that's my lane, and I have to make sure that my clients don't receive any levies, any bank account freezes, any business shutdown, none of that on my watch. So I try to keep other tax professionals and taxpayers updated as well. As I receive the information, I either post it on my social media platforms or I'll jump on, like I did today, and do a short video just to keep you all up to date. I do not see any questions. Let me look because every time I log off, I see questions that were asked that I did not see while I was on. So I want to make sure that I don't have any questions before I log off. I don't see any questions in Facebook. What about YouTube? Look on the business page. Okay, well, that was a really good update. I must have answered all the questions that people has had about the shutdown because I don't see any questions. Going once, going twice. Okay. Well, you all have an amazing Monday. I will keep you updated as new information is released. The shutdown can end today at 5:30 when they meet, but it is not looking like it's going to end. So I'll keep you all posted on what happens at the scheduled 5:30 meeting that the government is having. 21 days, I think, so far is the second longest shutdown. And I think that was when Clinton, was it Clinton? Yeah, I think it was when Clinton was the president. So today is day 20. Tomorrow we will tie at the second longest shutdown. And if it doesn't open back up tomorrow, Wednesday, we will be on day 23. So this will be the second longest shutdown. The first longest shutdown was 35 days. And that was when, unfortunately, during Trump's first term as president. So I'm keeping track of that as well. I hope I'm able to jump back on tomorrow and say, hey, y'all, it's over. The government is back open. People won't receive a disruption in their SNAP benefits. Also, security seniors receive their Social Security checks. The Affordable Care Act health insurance did not increase premiums double than what we're already paying. If you get the Affordable Care insurance, the Obamacare insurance, Medicaid is being affected, Medicare is being affected. Hopefully, I'm able to come back and share all that good news with you all. Otherwise, I don't think the government will open back up because the Democrats are very serious about not having the funding gutted from Obamacare, SNAP benefits, and whatever else they are fussing about for this funding budget that should have passed last year. But I digress. All right. Well, you all have an amazing Monday. Have a great week if I'm not able to jump back on. Oh, federal court, tax court, online trial sessions and in-person trial sessions have been canceled for this week. The information that's listed on the tax court website, it only has from October 20th, I think, through the 27th. Those sessions have been canceled. I don't know about the following week, but I will keep you all updated. All righty. Have a great day. Peace.